Life goes on, even when your wife runs off with a receptionist young enough to be her son. Around noon, her father called. "Callum, son, Kelly told us everything about how controlling you've been, how you drove her away. She says you're being vindictive now, causing problems with her travel plans." I put him on speaker while I arranged a window display. "Did she mention emptying our joint account and charging tickets for her and her boyfriend on our credit card?" Silence. Then, "Well, she said you left her no choice, that you'd been cold and distant." "Barry, I have her texts. Would you like me to read them to you? The one where she bragged about taking our money? Or maybe the one where she mocked my age?" Another pause. She did seem a bit cruel. I told her that text message was inappropriate. "I appreciate the call, Barry. I've always liked you. But I think it's best if we end this conversation now. My lawyer has advised minimal contact with Kelly's family during the proceedings." "Proceedings? Already? Goodbye, Barry." By late afternoon, Kelly's brother Ethan was spreading family gossip through mutual friends. Apparently, Kelly and Zach were stuck at a budget. Their LA dreams temporarily derailed. She'd tried using her personal credit cards, but those had been maxed out for months, another red flag I'd noticed. My lawyer called with an update. The emergency hearing is scheduled for Monday. Given her admission of emptying the joint account and the documented credit card fraud, we're in a strong position to freeze all remaining assets. Has she been served yet? Not yet, but she'll get the papers at her new motel address. Speaking of which, his boyfriend's social media is providing excellent evidence. He's been posting about their adventure all day, including some choice comments about you. I smiled thinking of my own documentation, a year's worth of suspicious charges, hotel receipts, text messages that proved premeditation. Kelly had been so focused on her grand escape that she'd never considered I might be watching, waiting, preparing. My phone buzzed with another text. "You think you're so smart, but I made copies of all the boutique's financial records. Half that business is mine." I forwarded the text to my lawyer, adding it to the growing file of Kelly's mistakes. Let her learn the hard way about separate assets and business ownership. Sometimes the best revenge is simply being prepared. The emergency hearing on Monday was everything I could have hoped for. Kelly showed up in her new young wardrobe, designer jeans too tight for her age. A blazer that screamed midlife crisis. Zach waited outside, his youth painfully obvious under the harsh courthouse lighting. My lawyer presented our evidence methodically. Kelly's gleeful text about emptying our account, her credit card fraud, her documented history of hidden expenses, each piece carefully collected over months of quiet observation. My client admits to some rash decisions, but Mr. Jameson's actions have been vindictive and calculating. "Calculating?" my lawyer countered. "You mean prudent?" My client protected his separate assets and maintained detailed records of his wife's suspicious behavior. "That's not vindictive. That's smart business." The judge reviewed my documentation, the separate property deed to the house, the boutique's incorporation papers in my name only. The careful separation of business and personal finances that Kelly had always complained about. "Mrs. Jameson," the judge addressed Kelly directly. "You admitted via text message. Do you deny this?" Kelly shifted uncomfortably. "I was just trying to make a clean break." "By committing financial fraud?" The judge raised an eyebrow. "And now you're claiming rights to property that documentation shows is clearly separate from marital assets?" "The business grew during our marriage," Kelly's lawyer tried again. "My client is entitled to." "The business was established before the marriage," my lawyer interrupted. "And Mr. Jameson maintained strict separation of business and personal finances throughout. We have documentation of every penny invested and earned." I watched Kelly's face as reality started sinking in. She thought this would be easy, empty our accounts, run off with her boyfriend, maybe claim half my business in the divorce. She'd never bothered to understand my insistence on keeping things separate, had mocked my careful bookkeeping as obsessive. "The court finds sufficient evidence of financial misconduct," the judge announced. "All shared assets are frozen pending final dissolution. Mrs. Jameson is ordered to return any funds removed from joint accounts within 24 hours. "But that money's gone," Kelly protested. "We spent it on." "Then I suggest you find a way to replace it." The judge cut her off. "And Mrs. Jameson?" "The court takes a very dim view of using shared credit cards to fund adventures with paramours." Outside the courthouse, I heard Zach asking Kelly about their LA plans. Her response was lost in the sound of my shoes clicking confidently across the marble floor, heading back to the business she'd never understood or respected. The next few weeks brought a string of increasingly desperate moves from Kelly. She tried claiming the boutique had been her idea. She remembered investing money in its early days. She even suggested she'd been my business partner all along, claims quickly disproven by my meticulous records. Her boyfriend's social media shows they're staying at his studio apartment now. Apparently living on a receptionist's salary isn't quite the glamorous escape she imagined. Kelly's family started reaching out, their tone markedly different from their initial accusations. "We had no idea," her brother admitted. "He told us you'd been cold, controlling that she needed to escape. But then we saw her text the way she bragged about taking your money. That's not the sister I thought I knew." Her father called again, this time in tears. "The things she said about your age, about replacing you with someone younger, I raised her better than that. I thought I did anyway. I let their calls go to voicemail. Their support might have meant something weeks ago, but now it felt like rats deserting a sinking ship." The boutique thrived, ironically boosted by local gossip about my situation. Men started coming in specifically to show support, often leaving with far more than they'd planned to buy. My ex tried something similar, One customer confided while buying a designer handbag. Thought she'd take everything in the divorce.